So revenue doesn't create stability, billing timing does. And so when you break down your work in progress by over or under billing, by install, replacement, retrofit, you can see which side of the business is draining your capital. And so this is how you can stop your growth from creating, stress, cash stress, right? And so it's pretty straightforward, this data set here, something I'm sure you've seen a million times. If you want this data set, there's a link to download it, or you can just shoot me an email. But pretty straightforward, when was the project started, project ID, what market was it, system type, and then you have things like PM name, crew ID, all that stuff, or PM ID. And then the main things that we really need here is, because we're not going to slice this on your project manager or crew. The main thing we want to see is job type, which we have here, and then were you over or under billing it? And we have two columns here, which is earned revenue at completion and how much you billed to date. And so the KPI is pretty straightforward. And also, I understand like this is hard to create, this file here. And so once you have this file created, then you can get these insights. But getting the insights is pretty straightforward once you have all this data. Okay, so the only two things we have to calculate on this tab is going to be the end of the month of the project, and then also have you over or under billed. So over or under is just what have you billed versus what have you earned. And then to get the end of the month, we do it off of the start date. So what is the final day of January 25, all the way to, what is the final day of, 12/25/26. And so equals, and then from here we need EO month. So EO month, go to the start date, comma 0. And that's going to give you the end of the month. You got to format it properly. And then here we need to just do equals what have you billed versus what have you earned. Pretty straightforward. And you can see these match these. So I'm going to delete this right here because we don't need it, because we already have it. And then now we can start to create this. So what we need is we need a unique list of the months. We need a unique list of the job type. And then we're going to take the average. That's what this is. This is the average. And then we're going to do an average of the overall by month and an average of the overall by job type. And then create this heat map to where you can type in numbers just to see, what anything below this turns red. So 0 is obviously the target. You want to break even. You don't want to overbill, for work that you haven't done yet. But if you want to have like a range, you can also add in negative numbers. Okay, so let's get started. First thing we have here is, let's just call this the month. And then to get a unique list of the month, we just do unique and then go to the new column that we created. And you can see it's right here. Again, just got to format it. Okay, I'm going to center everything here. And then I'm going to copy this and then press Control-Shift-V to paste it. And because we know that this is a table, now we can do other formulas to where we don't have to keep going back and forth. You can see this is a table because when you click inside, you have the table design tab. If you're out of the table, you can see it's not there. But it's here, and it's called, table, and then work in progress project, at the project level. And so now we need to take the unique of the table, and then we want job type. And then we have that. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort this alphabetically. So we want to sort this. And then finally, I want to put this across the row. I don't want it to be in a column. So we're going to transpose this. And then now you have that. I'm going to copy and then Control-Shift-V to paste. Then I'll just make these a little bit wider. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so now we want the average. We want the average of that column for new installs and January 31. And so that's the average if-s function. Average if-s means multiple criteria. And the first argument we have is the over-under column that we created, right? So that's going to be the far right column that we created where we subtracted what we billed versus what we've actually earned. So we're going to average that, and we want to average that, again, if the table, the month column that we also created is here, January 31st, comma, and then again, the table where the job type is here. So these formulas look a little bit intense, but once you understand the way they work, they're not that, they're not that hard to do, and they're not that sort of threatening, or scary. And that's it. I mean, we have the answer just like that. And so now we just have to drag this over and drag it down, but we can't do that yet. And the reason is because what's called relative referencing and absolute referencing. This is relative, meaning as we drag it down, the formula comes down with it. You can see right here that the box is here now instead of on new install. We want it on new install. And then you can see the month comes down, and that's what we want. But if we go across, you can see it's moved over here, and we don't want that. So you just have to use dollar signs. And so anywhere you see the month, the column that you want to stay the same as you go left to right, you don't want the column to move over, just put a dollar sign before the column, so before the letter. And then for the row, where as you go left to right, you do want it to change, but as you go top to bottom, you do not want it to change. You just put the dollar sign before the row, so in between the letter and the number. And you're good here. So you still need to copy and paste. You can't drag it, but you have to copy and paste. And that's just the nature of tables. And so you have that now. And then an overall here, and then an overall here. So now we want to see overall for new install. What is the average for new install? And we just do the same thing. So we can do average if S, and then again the table. Actually here, this time it's average if S, but I'm going to go back to the other sheet just to show you what we're doing. So here is the average of this column right here, comma, where the job type, comma, is right here. And you can see this formula here, it's the same as the ones we typed in, right? This includes the month as well, but it's the same concept. And because it's in a table, it's just easier to read, like you know which column it's coming from. And then this, just copy and paste it over. And then overall, I'm not going to go back to the other one, to the other tab. I'm just going to type it in here. So now we want the average of the over of the table, over under, comma, again, where the table is the month, comma, it's right here in cell B3. Control Shift 4 to format it, and then copy and paste it down. And so, yeah. Oh, two more things. One, you see right here, you're getting an error. It just means that there were no jobs. You can't divide by 0, and there were 0 jobs, so you can't take an average. So what we can do is here, we can type in the if error function. So if there's an error, then do something. And I'm just going to put a dash. And then again, I'm going to copy, make sure you paste this range. And now you can see the dash here. And then finally, to do the heat map, let's say we have a target of $0. So anything below this number, we want to highlight. So I'm just going to copy everything, hold down the control key, copy everything again, and then go to Home, Conditional Formatting, highlight cells less than, and then click on this cell. And then now anything below highlights. And you can also, you can just test, because you can do conditional formatting like a low number is red and a high number is green, but it doesn't really tell you, like, okay, if you're interested in anything below a certain value or above a certain value, for different KPIs, then this is a better way to do it, because it just paints a better picture a lot faster. And so, yeah, that's how you do this. Pretty straightforward KPI. Again, if you have any questions on this, questions at data boards, I understand the hardest part is getting this. And so if you can get this, then you can do this KPI. And if you can do this KPI, it's very valuable, because it just lets you know where a lot of your capital is going. And so, because overall it might not seem like much, but it adds up. It adds up over time, right? Meaning, if you wanted to see, let's just say, let's just pick a final month. So not 25, and then let's just do November or something, right? And so you can just sort of see that you have a lot of cash. So this is, doing it this way, you can just see which jobs at the job level are eating up all your cash. Because another way to do it, clear these filters, you can just do anything, right? Number filter, say less than 0, and now you have all of your jobs where you haven't invoiced enough. But yeah, so Anyways, again, if you want this file, there's a link to download it. Can't find it, shoot me an email. And when I say this file, I mean the completed solution, my formulas, everything. And also, if you need some help structuring your data like this, or if you need some help getting the KPIs, then you can also, there's a link to my calendar, or you can shoot me an email. But anyways, that's it for this one, and I will see you in the next one.